Welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with Jay Perry, who's currently playing Goldie Wilson in the West End production of Back to the Future. How are you today?
Hey, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. It's a pleasure to chat with you. We've got to start off, I guess, with Back to the Future, your current role. How is the show going for you?
Oh, it's so much fun. Have you seen the show?
I have seen the show, not with you in it, unfortunately. I saw Cedric as Goldie Wilson. I love the show. I think it's brilliant, and I came away with that. How do they do that car? In fact, I don't want to know because it's magic, isn't it?
Right. It's the first thing people ask me, obviously, but it
Yeah.
is. It's just such a magical show, and um, you just can't come away from it without feeling good. Like, it's just
Mm.
such a feel-good show,
Yeah.
such a family show. Anytime someone um messages me and was like, "Oh, I want to bring the kids. Will they enjoy it? Do you think it's right for them?" I'm like, they will.
Mm.
Like, it is
Yeah.
just the perfect show for the whole family,
Yeah.
and also one for the dads as well. Like, I feel like the dads, they're just like lost in the magic of it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's an iconic film. It's very true to the film, which is great. So I think anybody that's just a fan of the film would love it, and it's a great way to bring people like that into musical theatre, I always think.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that we're always trying to think of new ways to kind of get more people to the theatre and make theatre more accessible for everyone, right? And
Hmm.
an iconic film like this is just the perfect way to draw in a crowd that wouldn't normally necessarily come to the theatre, and also leave having had a great experience and want to go to see more theatre. So
Mm.
yeah, it's doing good things. It's doing good things.
Yeah, it's doing amazing things. Your career has been very varied. Obviously, I read up about the people that I'm interviewing, and I didn't know this, which is probably bad of me for my pop culture until I read this. But you were in S Club Juniors. That's sort
Was
of like, wow, I didn't know that. I think that is brilliant. So tell me all about that. How did that even happen for you?
I mean, well, firstly, I kind of love it when people don't know that, only because I think I've worked so hard to kind of have a career that stands alone
Sure,
without that
sure.
being the the one thing that everyone knows me for.
Yeah.
So whenever anyone says, "Oh, I have no idea you were in that group," I'm always kind of like, "Oh, all right, that's cool. I'll take that.
Oh, good.
That means I'm doing something right." Um, However, I was 11 when I got in the group.
Wow.
And I was, I think, like 15 or 16 when I left, when the band kind of disbanded or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not going to give away my age, but that's a fair few years ago now.
Yeah.
Um, and it just it just sits with me as like a really, really fun time. I was so young that I wasn't taking it in the way that you would take in that kind of an experience
Mm.
now, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we were doing and up to were absolutely insane. Like, we performed at Buckingham Palace, and like
Wow.
insane things,
Yeah.
toured all over the country, like just mad things. But when you're a kid, you're just kind of doing it. You're just like, "Oh, I'm just here
Yeah.
now, just doing this," and you're just not
Yeah.
even taking it in the way that you would if
Mm.
you were a slightly old
Yeah.
adult. So there's a part of wishes that I had maybe been a hair older, so that I could have just like held on to some of the memories, or
Mm.
really like been a little bit more present in it. However,
Yeah.
that was also kind of the beauty of it, that we were just kids having a fun time, and there was no real pressure to it, it was just
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So obviously you performed as a kid then. So obviously was this the kind of thing that you sort of wanted to do, or was it just an opportunity that cropped up and you thought this will be great for me as a bit of a starter?
I was a very stagey kid. I was a
Yeah.
stagey kid. I was in all the audition rooms. I I had my West End debut when I was 9 or 10, I think.
Oh,
I was
wow.
in Down the Wind, an Andrew Lloyd Webber show.
Yeah.
And I had auditioned for Simba in The Lion King, and I'd got the job.
Wow.
Um, and I then also booked S Club Juniors at the same time. So then I had
Ah,
a decision to make of which one I was going to do, and I
right.
chose S Club Juniors in the end, just because it was obvious. I didn't know how big it would be, and I didn't know, what
Yeah.
kind of journey it would be. But it was just so exciting to like essentially play pop star, basically. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I was a very stagey kid, so that was kind of just what I did. I was in all the audition rooms and stuff, and I loved it. I really did love it. And yeah, it took me down that direction, and then I found my way back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you found your way back like in some massive shows. I was just saying to you before we started recording there, you've been in some brilliant shows and, quite a few of my favorite ones, which is always great. I mean, you were in Beautiful, the Carole King musical. You've been in Motown, the musical, which I thought was absolutely superb. And also a little show called Hamilton. I mean, you've been in that one as well.
Tiny, tiny show. No one's
Tiny,
heard of
tiny show. No, of course. I mean,
it.
let's jokes aside, it's a phenomenon. So, like when you're cast as Aaron Burr in Hamilton in the West End of London, what is that feeling like?
Outrageous. Like it,
Yeah.
honestly, I remember going to see Hamilton on Broadway. I saw the original cast
Wow.
in 2015 or 16, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, and basically I was already going to New York, and the cast recording came out, and I listened to the cast recording, and I was like, this sounds
Mm.
incredible.
Yeah.
And I booked tickets immediately, and because I'd got in so early, I managed to get pretty
Yeah.
decent tickets. Obviously the tickets became gold dust afterwards, but
Yeah.
the very early people. So I managed to see it. And I just remember Leslie Odom Jr. walking out onto the stage for that opening kind of monologue, that opening like Alexander Hamilton bit. And
Yeah.
I just was so lost in like the magic of it, like from the very beginning. And I just remember thinking, how can that be me? How do I get to that place? How do I get
Yeah.
to that stage in my career? Because at that
Mm.
point, I thought there was absolutely no way that would ever be something I could possibly do and hold a show up in a way or be a part of a show in that
Mm.
capacity. And so a good 4 years, I think it was 4 years later, 2019. Yeah, so a good 4 years later, I managed to have that moment.
Yeah.
And it honestly was it was so special. It was such a full circle moment. And I've never wanted a role or a show more than
Right.
Hamilton and Africa. So
Yeah.
to achieve that, it was just yeah, it was a really, really proud moment actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's still going very strong. It's just been announced there's another extension. I mean, there's the tour going on as well. So I think people are just like people just still love it, and it's I've seen it 3 times, and each time you go, I think it's just one of those shows where you just take something different in each time because it's such a fast-paced show. I
Yeah.
always think like the staging is so slick and everything about it is just so like wow. I think you can see it multiple times and not get sick of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
so much
mean,
going on. There's so much
mm,
going on. It's a feast for the eyes. It's a feast for the
yeah,
ears. Like it's just there's so much going on that yeah, you're right. Every time you go back, you'll spot something different, or you'll get a new favorite moment, or you'll feel something slightly differently, or you'll see a different person on, and their performance will move you in a different way. And I just think that's magic.
yeah, it is. I mean, was it always Burr that you wanted to play?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
He like there's just something about that part for me. He has this anti-hero thing where I really just identified with him. I was like, we all have a bit of Burr in us, but I specifically identified with him. I am someone that for a very long time felt like they sat back and waited for my turn and wasn't
right.
I'm not really a person to like be on the front foot. I very much like wait for things to come to me. And so I understand that like frustration that built up that frustration. So getting to explore that within the character, but also within myself, just felt really, really exciting and also really just fun. Like just so much
Yeah,
fun. There's just so much to play with him. Like, um, so yeah,
yeah.
always Burr.
Yeah, yeah.
Team
Good.
Burr.
Good. Well,
Team Burr.
yeah, it's nice to have the role that you want and then to achieve it and get it. That's wonderful. I think that's great. So after Hamilton, you moved on to Sylvia. And
Yes.
you played Winston Churchill. Now I saw this as well. I thought it was phenomenal. Like, I mean, you know, there's a similarity, I think, with the music with Hamilton, because it was very
Yeah.
much on that sort of vibe, I thought. But tell me about that role in particular for you.
Well, I had seen Sylvia. You know, they had done like a I guess they'd done like an open workshop or whatever at the Old Vic a
Mm,
few years prior. So they had kind of, I don't know, yeah, they called it like a work in progress or whatever.
yeah.
And I had seen it then, and I loved it. The music, immediately, I was like, yeah, this is my kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And the Winston Churchill role, I was like, it's just so much fun. Like
Yeah.
the way they kind of invert him as a, a villain, but also, just make
Mm,
him a bit silly and a bit, a bit hammy.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
was just so much fun to me. Like I just thought it was so silly and so much fun, but
Yeah.
also the actual story that was being told was so important
Yeah.
and so beautifully told. And um, so when I got the chance to audition for it, I was
Mhm.
like, yes, I was like,
Yes.
right, that is my role. I will be walking that one.
Yeah.
So again, it was just a lovely one to be able to experience. And I'd never worked at the Old Vic before. It was a venue that I really, really wanted to
Mm,
look at. I got to work with incredible people.
yeah.
So yeah, I just had a blast. And also it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long a run, which
No, I
I'm
know. It was a
normally
shame.
I'm normally used to doing these kind of like year-long runs
Yeah.
of shows. And so to kind of have like a little 6 month there, like including rehearsals, I was like, this is quite nice actually. Like
Yeah.
in and out, like it was lovely.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
I'd love there to be more of a life for Sylvia just because I think it's a great show.
Me too. And I think why we didn't get a cast recording of it, I don't know, because I think it would be brilliant. I mean, I don't know whether you've got
Yeah,
any intel on
I,
that.
I, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Well,
Maybe I
maybe.
do have some intel on it, but I'm not sure I can spill. But all I can say is it would make an incredible cast recording, and it's
Yes.
something I would love to be a part of. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. We'll draw a line there.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So let's go Back to the Future. Obviously, your current gig. I mean, this is a massive show. Again, it's, you know, doing well over on Broadway as well. And I just think the character of Goldie Wilson, I just loved him. I just thought, you know, he's just sort of in there and he's present and he's just such fun. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. Is just an absolute tune. I love it. I think it's such a great one. So tell me all about sort of the audition process for a massive show like this one, Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It got you got to start somewhere. I mean, when I heard it, I was like, that is how you do a show-stopping number.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's a proper big
it,
tune, isn't it? Yeah.
it's a long song. It goes up and up and up and up and up into the skies, and it's just so much fun. I mean, the character of Goldie Wilson is just he's there to bring joy. He is
Mm,
purely there to be a light of hope and joy and what you can achieve, if you put your mind to it.
yeah.
But like genuinely, it's just such a lovely role to play because there's been roles that I've played that have potentially a little bit more depth to them.
Mhm.
Um, but you can kind of leave the stage sometimes being emotionally exhausted, whereas
Yeah.
you leave the stage as Goldie being emotionally elated. And I just think that's
Yeah.
such a lovely thing at this stage of my career to be enjoying. Like I'm just having a blast here.
Yeah.
Um, the audition process. Um, for me, it was about getting that song in my bones because
Mm,
it's just the kind of song that you can just turn up and sing. It just isn't.
yeah.
I remember from my first audition to my last audition, there was like a huge improvement in terms of the way that I felt I was delivering the song and stuff because
Yeah.
it's just a beast. It's mammoth.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yeah.
big old song. And so,
Yeah.
and I've sung some big songs in my time, but there's something about this one. It's basically, I think the whole song, including the reprise, is 11 minutes,
Oh,
maybe.
wow, is it?
So
Gosh.
it's a marathon. So
Yeah.
you are literally just going and going and going. So getting my stamina up to that place was the biggest task.
Mm.
Sometimes it still is. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I'll walk out on that stage and I'll be like, this is going to be a tough one. Like,
Yeah. Yes, exhausted. I mean, yeah, it's just a brilliant moment in the actual musical. I mean, I think if you could have played any other role in the show, who would you pick? I mean, would it be Marty as the lead, you know, as the
Doc.
big
When I'm
name?
older, Doc.
Doc,
Doc
yeah,
Brown.
it's a
I
brilliant role.
just think it is just the most incredible role. I think
Yeah,
that not only do you have to have like an insane amount of energy and charisma, but
yeah,
like you've got to have humor and like be able to hold that up. There's some dancing that he does. He sings like lovely slow ballad, but also up tempo moments. You've just got to be an absolute all rounder, and like to
yeah,
watch like Corey do that role every night, like
yeah,
Stephen Leask who comes in as the alternate, and like to watch them do the role, like it's just to me they're like at the top of their game, and so to be able to every job I do, I love to kind of watch someone or watch a few people who I'm like, when I can get to that level, I'm doing something right. And so to watch Corey, to watch Stephen just absolutely kill it every single night is a privilege. Like I love
yeah.
that. So that would be the role for me.
Doc
Maybe a little bit too young at the moment, but
Of course, of course. No, makeup
but
does wonders, you know.
that's so true. That's so true. I know that as Goldie. I've got a whole grey wig and makeup going
Yeah,
on.
you
So yeah.
do. Yeah, you do.
Um, but yeah, in a few years, Doc would be so much fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent show all round. So for anybody that hasn't seen the show, let's sell it to them. Why should they come and see it?
Yeah, come and see Back to the Future because there's no way you're not going to leave with a smile on your face. It is visually the best show I think I've ever seen in the West End. It is just a visual feast.
Yeah,
With some banging songs, some banging tunes, a very hard-working ensemble,
yeah.
and a car that is quite literally magic.
And
So,
it does
on down.
fly. Yeah, it does
It
fly.
flies,
It does
flies.
fly. And you do come out thinking, what? How did they do that? But yeah, I don't want to know. I want the magic to stay alive for that one.
For
But thank you
sure.
so much for having a chat with me today. I really appreciate your time. Wishing you all the best with the rest of the run. Yeah, good luck to everybody else in the cast as well, because I think it is such a phenomenal show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care.
Cheers.